Welcome to No Boxes, Just Verses, the podcast where we go beyond the bios, beyond the titles, and we explore the lessons that have shaped today's most inspiring leaders, all through the songs that have moved them. Each week, we build a playlist of a leader's life. 5 songs, 5 lessons, 1 unforgettable leadership playlist.
No boxes, just verses. We're not playing around. No boxes, just verses. Listen to the sound. No boxes, just verses. Our stories out loud. No boxes, just verses. Watch wisdom astound. The stories of how we found our way. Stories of how we learned to pray. Our stories out loud. Our wisdom, our pearls. Everyone say wow, 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 wow. Woo-hoo. No boxes, just verses. Feel it move.
And today, I am so excited to be joined by a powerhouse leader in technology, global governance, higher education, and also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, my sorority, Carrie J. Clark. Carrie, welcome to No Boxes, Just Verses.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about the songs and some of the stories that I will share with you and your audience. But once again, thank you, Shannon, for having me here. It's good to see you, and I'm excited about the upcoming conversation.
And I got to say, this is why I also tell people, check out the YouTube videos, because that pink you have on is lovely. It's so coordinated and lovely, and the pearls. That's why I literally am like, people check the YouTubes. The pictures are amazing.
I'm glad that you said pink, because I was like, I don't want to give it off shade, but it is pink for all of my sisters out there.
Yeah,
in Alpha Kappa Alpha.
I only see pink, so I'm the wrong one to ask.
There you go. It's only one color, right?
It's only one color. Well, Carrie, let's get into your background real quick before we dive into your journey. Carrie J. Clark is an accomplished technology and operations executive with more than 3 decades of experience leading enterprise-scale innovation in healthcare, IT, project management, and digital transformation. As a system director of IT operations at Henry Ford Health, she provides strategic oversight of several critical teams, including project management office, IT asset and software management, IT governance, IT services management, and IT services management applications. Her leadership has driven operational excellence across the system and has earned her numerous accolades and awards, including the Michigan Chronicle Woman of Excellence Award, the Eastern Michigan University Distinguished Alumni Award. She's also received honors from Career Mastered and Women of the Word. I love Career Master. That's Lisa's organization, correct? Yeah, I love that one. Carrie, you've had a long-serving also career in education. You've been an adjunct professor. You've taught IT, project management, and quality systems at numerous Detroit area universities. You give back your time and you really focus on educating the next generation. I love that about you. You're deeply committed to supporting youth in STEM in particular. And you've helped young people reach their full potential through your work with Code 313, that organization. And you've also had past service with the Youth Development Commission. And that's just your day job and what you do in the community related to IT and technology. Now let's talk about your commitment of service and excellence to Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, where you serve on the board of directors as the International Regional Director. In this role, Carrie leads chapters across 13 countries and territories with a focus on elevating the voices and the work of those regions, driving global expansion, and ensuring effective program execution. You previously served as the 29th Great Lakes Regional Director for Alpha Kappa Alpha, which includes chapters across Michigan, Ohio, Western New York, Western Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. In addition to your service with Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, you've also had much broader community involvement in organizations like the Links. You have graduated as a member of Jack and Jill. I'm right behind you. I'm in my last year, and I will graduate.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, last year. Carrie holds a Bachelor of Arts, a Master's of Science in Administration, and she's currently pursuing, if that isn't enough, a Master's of Health Administration. And I love that, lifelong learner. You are a certified PMP, which is project management professional, Scrum Master. You have all these IT certifications. I mean, just truly, again, lifelong learner and excellent at all you're doing, especially. I know we'll talk about how much you deeply care about STEM, not only for how it's helped your own career, but helping others with it as well. Carrie resides in Detroit with her husband of 30 years. Clap, 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 30 years. And you are the proud mother of two adult sons. Well done, mom, and well done, mom and dad. Carrie, welcome to No Boxes, Just Verses. It's truly an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So let's get into your origin story. Who is a young Carrie? Where is she growing up? What is she dreaming of? The song that you picked is Survivor by Destiny's Child. And so walk us through what young Carrie's doing.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, when I was thinking about my early years and I love the concept. I was telling someone today, I said, I'm going to be on this exciting podcast. I said, but the spin to it is that you have to resonate and select a song that truly reflect that era in your life, right? Or in your season, that particular season. And I love this concept because it's different, but it makes you think at the same time. And so Survivor is truly the song that truly represents my early childhood. And the reason being is because for those that do not know, and I am just now getting at the place of being comfortable to talk about it, but I should talk about it. I need to talk about it because I believe my story will help others. In some weird way, it may help encourage others that if I can do it, they can do it. And so for those that may not be aware, my mother passed at a very young age. She was 29 years of age. I was 11 years old. And so when you think about a parent passing on, it doesn't matter what age you are. It's already difficult. But at the age of 11, it's extremely difficult. And it was very detrimental to my life and what was next for me and how do I survive and who's going to raise me. My father had remarried and, of course I wasn't going to the new family. I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. Love my father. He has moved on to glory. But at the time, I went to go live with my grandmother, but there was a lot of unknown questions that I was asking. I was even asking, why me, right? And as we get older, we say, why not me? But at the same time, when I look back on that experience that still shapes me to this day, I think about my mother and how spiritually she kept pushing me because my mother was a dynamic woman. She was beautiful. She was smart. She was classy. She was, just a boss and dealing with things directly. She was transparent. She tackled the challenges that most women back then would not even touch. And so that was the type of woman that I was raised by for 11 years. And so when she passed on and through my early years of, elementary, junior high, and high school, and I would encounter things, I would say, what would my mother say? And my mother would say, wipe those tears, get back out there, fight the good fight, know who you are, know what you bring to the table. And every time I would doubt myself, I would think about her. I would think about her and I would say my mother would be disappointed if she even thought that I second guessed myself. And so when I think about the song Survivor, I won't give up. I'm going to continue to fight the good fight. I won't stop. I'm going to work harder. Those are some of the words that are associated with that song. It really represented who I was and who I still am at this point. And so I survived beyond the passing of my mother. And truly to this day, you have to look at life lessons and experiences and say, who are you going to be as a result of it? What are going to be your actions? How are you going to make decisions to continue to live on? Because my mother will still want the best for me. And so it's just shaped who I am. And I think because of that perseverance, because of the tenacity to say, I got to do this for her, even though she's not here, it made me fight harder for what I wanted. And it made me want to achieve more. In every sense of the song, that is truly who I was. And I still say it's still who I am to this day. because of those early life changes that have shaped me. And it has really shaped me into the person that I am, into the woman that I am. And it has had major influence over how I look at things and how I tackle things. I know a bright young lady told me once that when you think about courage, right, it's not about being afraid to make the tough decisions. It's not embedded in the difficult things that occurred. Courage is about making choices in spite of. And so I had to still make the choices in spite of the circumstances. And here I am.
And here's the thing, you learn that lessons of resilience at a very young age. There's
Yes.
people who don't get faced with having to be resilient until they're well into like their adulthood. And for some people, they crumble,
Yes, that
right?
is
Because
correct.
they've never had to be resilient. And for you, I mean, I don't wish that on anybody to have to learn it as a young kid, but you
Yep.
did. And I bet that really carried out throughout the rest of your life because you were forced, quite frankly, to deal with that at a young age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was forced to grow up instantly. And I was just fortunate to have such a supporting family. I had oh my gosh, the village that surrounded me on both sides. My father's side, my father was still there, my mother's side. I had 50 mothers, 50 aunties that felt like, listen, we got to protect this baby. We got to make sure that this baby rises up to the occasion and that she lives out her mother's dreams of becoming someone that is respectable, someone that is kind, someone that is contributing to society, someone that will carry the legacy on. And so, my story, even though it's a sad story,
Yeah.
but it's actually a great story because I'm a testament of how when you have the right support, the right encouragement, you can still accomplish anything in spite of.
Carrie, where did you grow up? What city?
I grew up in Detroit. I'm a native of Detroit, Michigan. And so this is home for me. Never lived anywhere else. I don't know if I'm going to say that in my old age. As I grow, older gracefully, I am definitely looking for a warmer location to migrate to for the winters. But for all intents and purposes, this is home for me, Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, so I can legitimately say to you, what up, though? I can say that to
Oh,
you.
absolutely. Absolutely. What up, Doe? Absolutely.
So,
And if you know, you know, right?
and if you know, you know. For Detroit people, that's just. And the other thing, because you're not my first Detroit person I've interviewed, the other thing that the Detroit people I asked this question, they always want to know, where'd you go to high school? I'm
Yep.
not so sure why that's such a fact. Like Detroit, it's a thing.
It's a thing. Listen, Shannon, we don't ask what college you went to. We don't ask where you work. We don't ask where you lived in Detroit. The first official question when they say you're from Detroit is, what high school did you go to? That is a thing in Detroit. It's a thing. I met a physician, a prominent physician. He's not from Detroit. And we were talking. He's from, I think, DC area. But he married a beautiful doctor, physician from Michigan. And he said, what is up with this? You guys, that's all you ask about is what high school? I said, it's a thing for us and it never gets old. So yes. So for those that are wondering, that are from Detroit, Michigan or familiar with Detroit, I went to Persian High School.
I mean, because I knew somebody once I said Detroit would write in and say, you didn't ask her what high school she went to.
Let me help you. I went to Persian. I'm a Doe girl.
Well, there you have it. She went to high school. Such a
Yes.
Detroit thing. But thank you for sharing that story. Just really your vulnerability about your early days, which, like you said, were rooted in sadness, but at the same time, you had to be resilient and you were a survivor, as the song says. And so we'll move into your next stage, kind of your young adulthood. Like, I got to tell you, I love this song. The hook on this song is a whole vibe. I'll tell you, the line I most love from the song is, there's been so many things that held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around now.
Yes.
Uh-uh. Ain't
Don't
no
go there.
stopping us now.
Don't
We're
go
on the
there.
groove. I really, really got the
Listen,
groove. Right? That
don't
is
go
the
there. Yes.
jam.
Yes. That is the song.
McFadden
That is the
and
song.
Whitehead.
Yep.
How did we
Yep.
pick a good old Philly song for I think they were the Philly sound, right? I think that's
Yep.
what they
I think
are.
it is. You're absolutely right. Yep.
Yep, for your young adulthood, but that song is I can't wait to put that on your Spotify playlist.
Listen,
It's a
that is the
banger.
song that my husband and I did our first dance on. That's two, I should say. That is the first song. He was like, "That's our song. That is our song." I'm like, "That is our song." So it resonates with me for so many reasons because so much of my upbringing is all tied into the motivation of where do I go? What do I achieve? What's next? Did I do this right? Did I not do that right? And so when I went to college, Eastern Michigan University, as you stated earlier, that was a big thing for my grandmother. And I think it was a big thing because several, including my mother, they started college, but they didn't finish, right? For whatever reason. And so for her, I think it became kind of like a badge of honor. Like, if this baby can go to college and finish and complete, then someone will say to me, job well done. Because think about it, when I went to college in the early 80s, even though for some people they're like, that's not too long ago, but it's been a minute, it's been a while, right? That was the next accomplishment, the big accomplishment to go to college where, you had to apply for scholarships and seek money. You didn't have a silver spoon to pay your tuition, where you had to go to college and compete with others that may have gotten a better quality education, to go to college where others were probably discounting if you would make it or not. That was the next big accomplishment for me. And so that was the determining factor once I achieved my, degree, that ain't no stopping me now. I'm ready. There's nothing that can stop me because to go up against that goal at that time in the early 80s, where I didn't see a lot of myself on campus, it was a very small percentage of brown students on campus at that time. It was a huge accomplishment because I was fighting up against a lot of odds. And so once I accomplished that, that was the trigger that really set within me to say, oh, you can do this. And so when I think about that song, Ain't No Stopping Us, Ain't No Stopping Me, it really gave me the encouragement to continue to move on, to get my master's, to continue to move on, to pursue opportunities that maybe if I would have taken a different path, I would have never thought that I was worthy of. And so when I think about that experience, that is where I fell in love with Alpha Kappa Alpha. That's where I fell in love with the women that I saw walking gracefully on the campus of Eastern Michigan University, Xi chapter. That's where I fell in love with an extended family that gave me more than what my family was giving me, because now I'm relating to sisters that are like-minded women at that time. And so when I think about the accomplishments, not only did I get a degree, but I also got an extended family through this beautiful sorority called, Alpha Kappa Alpha. And so that's why I always go back to that song, right? Because we all know in our sorority, we don't go out and solicit. Be a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, it's truly a privilege. And so to be selected and to be given an opportunity to become a member, that was another huge accomplishment. And so I have had no regrets. Every now and then I think about, should I have gone to HBCU? Should I stayed at the PWI? I think sometimes, especially getting the exposure now to a lot of HBCUs, because a lot of my friends graduated from HBCUs. I'm going to HBCU games to support, and I'm there like I was graduated, like I graduated from them. But then I think about it. I said, no, no, no. God ordained my journey. This has been my path. This has set me up for destiny. That is my song for that era of my life. And just saying, ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping me. Let's roll. We're doing this. And so that's why I selected that song.
There's so many things that you hit upon that just truly resonate and like amazing lessons. I think, first of all, for my listeners, just to paint this picture, especially in the Midwest, I've shared with my listeners before, I was born in Saginaw, Michigan. And it was the ability for my parents to go to Michigan State that changed the trajectory of my whole life. I become a second generation college student because of that opportunity. But everybody around them at the time, most of the people were working at everybody works at this thing called the plant. And they're And as a child, I don't think I realized like there's different types of plants. It's just
Yep.
called the plant. It's a similar type of upbringing where the economy, a lot of these people migrated from another place that they call down south, which again,
Yep.
I thought was a state. Didn't realize
Yep.
it was different states. But there
Right.
was the great Black migration to the Midwest from the South. And
Mhm.
these were good factory plant jobs. You didn't
Mhm.
have to necessarily have a college degree. You didn't have to have a college degree to have them, but you could be middle class.
Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
that's, we both grew up in like an era where that generation, that's what they did, but they wanted their kids to go to college.
Mhm.
And how it just changed and transformed like entire communities if you were one of the ones who actually were able to go to school and do something a little bit different. And so that resonated with me completely because, to your point, everybody didn't make it. Some people didn't finish. The unfortunate part is that when those plants closed, entire communities crumbled
That is correct.
and became impoverished. So the
Mhm.
same communities that in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, where they were building up a middle class Black community, they decimated a middle
Yep.
class Black community at the same time. So that resonated with me so deeply just because that's my family roots too. We share those. And then the other thing you brought up about your ability to then kind of still be resilient and go make your own pathway and find this group of women. You found a tribe, you found a
I did.
family, a chosen family.
That's
That's what
right.
I'm going to call it.
That's right.
Chosen family.
Yep.
We find supporters and mentors in all different spaces. It's
Mhm.
nothing like being in an organization where you are surrounded by a bunch of mentors, supporters, and just people who you share very similar values with. That is very empowering in a young person's life, albeit throughout the rest of our life, too.
Right.
So
Right.
that resonated with me as well. And then the last thing that you said, and I've said this a bunch of times on the first season of my podcast, so many great leaders like yourself start to realize, I truly believe, I know this is it's definitely in the Bible, but also this has been famous, poets have talked about it. And it's the concept of your steps being ordered.
Mhm.
Your steps are ordered. And when leaders finally realize that, I think it changes the trajectory of their leadership.
Yep.
And I think that you mentioned that, like you started to realize, wait a minute, these steps are here. I just have to take them. I can't fight them. I shouldn't be fighting them. This is where I'm supposed to be going. And this is bigger than me. This is bigger than my wants and whims. And so you start realizing that. And again, I know because at the time you were going to college, what I know about what happens with your career, not only were there not a lot of people who look like you in your college, you're picking a STEM field. Who's doing that? That looks
Not
like you.
many. Not many. But guess what? But when you put the hard work in, like for me, and I have some really good friends that went into other professions that kind of chose the easy path per se. When you put the work in, it pays off in the end. And I just thank God that I've always been employed. I thank God that I've always been able to get a job. I thank God that I picked a field that is always forever changing. Now we're talking about AI, right? And so it's just a forever changing evolution within the IT profession. And now I'm in health field. And so I just thank God that he has ordered. I am big on divine order. When I tell you I am so big on, I have lived long enough to know at this point in my life, nothing happens by accident. Nothing. I don't even care if it's even the passing of my mother is all in divine order. And that's hard to say, but it's all in divine order. And so I think to your point, when you can accept that, I think you can cope with life better. You can cope with life better when you can say, wait a minute. Oh, that door was closed. It's okay. Another one is about to open. Oh, you setting me up for this? It's okay. But you got to have that mindset. And maybe because I've had such a tragic loss at such an early age, unfortunately, it has changed my outlook on how to deal with life. My kids, they've had it good. I'm sure your kids, right? They live a different lifestyle. I'm like, you got to be able to toughen up. You got to toughen up. I'm the latchkey generation. You get off the bus, go to the house, get in. You're on your own, right? It's a different generation, and you want the best. You want better for your kids, but at the same time, I thank God for my experiences because they have made me who I am today. And so ain't no stopping me.
No
Not
stop?
now,
Yeah.
not forever, ever.
Forever. I'm so glad that's on the playlist. So now you start your early career, and the song that you pick is Superwoman by Alicia Keys. So, what's going on in this phase?
So Shannon, so let me say this. I've had so many different seasons, but all the experiences have truly shaped me or tested me or validated me or made me think like, what they say, what would Ethel do? What would Jesus do? What would Carrie do? What would my mother do? And et cetera. So once I graduated, I had worked in a couple of institutions because at one point I wanted to be a teacher. And so that's why I've always taught as an adjunct faculty because I've always had that desire to want to give back, to teach, to give back to others opportunities so they could become better professionals, better learners, whatever it is as far as the profession. As a result of that, in my early career, after graduating, I got this good paying job. At least I thought it was a good paying job at the time. It was a placement director. I go to this school at the time. And when I get there, I realized my role was to place them in employment opportunities once they graduated. As I continue to get more intimately involved with the students in understanding what they brought to the table, their backgrounds, their experiences, their skills, I started uncovering that many of the students were not really qualified, even once they graduated, which made my job harder to place them. What I started to uncover was that the school at the time were accepting students that couldn't even read. Because for the school, it was a money thing. And the school was not a cheap school. They were paying just as much as any local university. But I think what the school gave these beautiful people, beautiful individuals, the school gave them hope. And because the school gave them hope, they bought it. And so when I tried to help them, place them, guide them, pour into them, I started realizing I was not going to be able to save them all. And so as a result of that, I started to become conflicted with my character, with my integrity, because I felt that if I stayed, then I was a part of the problem, not a part of the solution. And when I was there, I did a lot of remarkable firsts. They had never had a commencement ceremony. And in my mind, I'm like, who does that? How do you not have a commencement ceremony? I got some of them employed. I got some of them internships. I worked it and I gave it my all. But at the end of the day, it was not enough to save them all. And so for me, that became my first experience to say, it's not about the money and it's not about the titles. A lot of us get caught up on titles. It's about the work and it's about the contributions and it's about the legacy that you're leaving. And I had to make a tough decision because I just felt like if you continue to stay here, even though you couldn't protect them, because I had no authority to change the governance or the policy or the pay scale, not the pay scale, but the money that they paid to become a student. I didn't have that type of authority. I said, I have to leave because I felt like I was a part of the scam. It was a scam to me. I don't know what other word to use. And because I poured so much into them when I left, it was a huge celebration that they all gave back to me. And it's heartbreaking because so many of our people, all they're looking for is hope. They're just looking for one more chance to become better, to do better. And when you have institutions out there like that, taking advantage of them, for me, it was the first true grown decision in my career to say, is it about the title and the money, or is it about making a difference? Is it about being a part of the solution or being a part of the problem? And so I decided to leave. And many of those students I will still see today. And of course, they call me, Miss Burton, because that was my maiden name. Miss Burton, Miss Burton. And it was like we never separated. And that has always been rewarding for me because I do think that they truly appreciated all what I tried to do for them, what I was able to do for them. And so that's why I still have a passion for teaching still to this day because of that experience.
What an experience to have that early in your career and to
Mhm.
realize that you can't save them all.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I think about the song Superwoman, Alicia Keys, right? That's the song that comes to mind because I'm like, I'm trying to be Superwoman. I'm trying to save everybody. And you're not able to, but I truly think if we all gave it our best, we can save some of them.
You can just the emotion in your voice. It was still a pivotal experience for
Mhm.
you, and you wouldn't change it because you've
Oh,
tried. Sometimes you can't do it
yeah.
all, but
Yeah,
you'll never be able to see if you can do it all if you don't try.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it still impacts me to this day
Yeah.
because it's something that still lives within me. And so I do get somewhat emotional, which I'm trying to, but it's just, some things in life, it holds on to you. It just holds on to you. It doesn't let you go. So as we continue to grow and as we continue to be on this thing of life, we have to make adult decisions about humanity and about what is it that we're going to represent and what's going to be our legacy. So for those individuals that I impacted, my legacy will always live on with them in a positive light.
1,000%. It lives on with everybody that was affiliated with that school that you
Yep.
tried to help, and they have actually paid that forward. I know they have. And you
Mhm.
actually, like you already alluded to it, you continue. That's why you still do adjunct teaching and things of
Mhm.
that nature. You still work with the youth because you're still trying to solve that. You've
Yep.
never, it's not even given up. You
No.
didn't give up. You just keep trying to do it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what I want you to realize is that if you just change the trajectory of one person's life, just one, you've already accomplished it. And I know,
Absolutely.
like, as the person doing it, you don't feel like you've ever accomplished it, but I already know you've actually accomplished it many times over. I'm
Yeah.
sure there are people, when we post this, there will be people in the comments that say, oh, no, she helped, blah, blah, she helped me. Yeah. So that's the other thing. I'm always big on giving people their flowers while they're alive, even
Say it.
not
Say
after.
it.
I think it was a pivotal moment for you, and you feel still strongly like you wish you could have done more, but I know that you did a lot for a lot of people, and you still do.
I'm trying. I'm trying to leave a legacy. Now, this is going to sound morbid, but I always say, when you come to 80 years from now, when God has called me on to glory, you all are going to have much more to say than just, well, she was this super AKA, right?
Right.
I want people to be able to say great things that I did to contribute to society.
I heard somebody say the other day, I forget who it was, but it was like making sure that you didn't just take up space on this earth.
Ooh, I like that.
That's a good
Mhm.
one, right? I
That
hope
is a
people
good
say
one.
that. And you haven't. You've already accomplished that, but you'll continue. Let's get into it because
All right.
the next stage, but you obviously leave there, you go to wind up having this amazing career. It's the song you actually picked that talks about kind of like you building this career and really getting in the stride of your career is When You Believe, Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. And I got to tell you, before most of us are very familiar with Whitney Houston songs and Mariah Carey songs, I actually do not remember them having a song together. So I was like, whoo, I'm
It's a
stumped. I
beautiful
love
song.
this. I love
Yes.
it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful song because it talks about believing in spite of all odds. It talks about believing in miracles, right? That's really the cornerstone of the song, believing in miracles. And so if you have not listened to that song and have not read the lyrics, When You Believe will inspire you to keep believing that, if you didn't get the house, you will get the house. If you didn't get the degree, you will get the degree, right? And so we get the essence of it. When you have gone through different seasons. I was talking to somebody and we were talking about at the time when I had pursued first international vice president, I believe in 2022, time is just like passing us by here. And I did not take the prize home, but the woman that was supposed to take the prize home took the prize home. I will say that. And at the time, I was more concerned during that season, at that time, during that loss, just trying to digest everything because I gave it my all. I was more concerned about the people that did believe in me, right? How do I keep them encouraged? Because these are people that said, I believe in you, I support you. And then you feel like you let them down because you didn't bag the winning prize, right? And then I think the other part for me was I need to always represent my brand. My brand is so important to me. How I show up every day is important to me. And it wasn't my character, but I was very intentional to show people that you're going to judge me more on how I behave during a loss and more so than how I behave if I would have won. Because I think it shows your character, shows who you are as an individual and how do you handle things when they may not go as planned as you wanted them to go. But once again, if you are a believer in divine order, then you would say, then God, it wasn't my time. And so for me during that season, I was at peace. Was I disappointed? Absolutely. Was I crushed? Absolutely. But then that's when my mother kicked in. That's when my grandmother kicked in. That's where my husband kicked in. That's where my kids kicked in. That's where my friends kicked in. And I just, was saying, we're good. Let's continue to work, right? Because it's bigger than all of us. Everything that we do is bigger than all of us. And if it's about you, then you're not in it for the right reasons, right? If it's an I thing, then you're not in it for the right reasons. And so guess what? I continue to show up in the sisterhood. I continue to serve. I continue to give back. Nothing stopped my flow from doing what I have always done in this beautiful sorority. And so it was important for me to make sure that people saw me for me during that most difficult time. And what was interesting, since, we're just talking about everything, during that time when I lost and the announcement was made, my father passed away. So when I gave my speech, my family knew my father had passed away. They wouldn't tell me. So when I tell you, it wasn't even about the loss at that point. It was about life and death, what really mattered in life at that time. So for me, even though it wasn't the outcome that God had for me because he had somebody else already picked for the position at the time, I am so at peace. And so that song resonates with me because when you believe that even in spite of a loss, that you are still destined for whatever God has for you, it really changes your mindset on how to deal with ups and downs. Listen to the song, listen to the lyrics, and then you'll be able to say, oh, I get what as my son would say, I get what she's putting down. You get what I'm putting down. I get what she's putting down, right? You'll get it then. You'll get it then.
I already get it. I mean, just the title, When You Believe,
Mm-hmm.
says it all. And what I need our listeners to understand, because some will not know this, all of this work that you're talking about, all of this time you're spending working in the leadership of the sorority and the organization, this is all volunteer time. You are still building I know we call it 9 to 5 because that was a popular song when we grew up, but it's not a 9 to 5 job. You are still building a 24/7
Mm-hmm.
career, in
Mm-hmm.
particular in IT and information technology.
That is correct.
And in a time in particular where that field has now just gotten hotter and 24/7 in
Mm-hmm.
terms of everybody I know that worked in the office of the CTO was on call all day, every day. So you were
Absolutely.
still doing that. You were still raising younger kids because they're not adults at this point, right? They're not
They are,
adults.
but
Are they both
they are,
adults?
let them tell it.
They're young adults. I'll put
They
you
are
that
young
way.
adults. They don't
They're
live
young
home.
adults.
So we're good. They don't live home. So
They don't
we're
live
doing
at
good.
home, but somehow you still paper stuff. So let that sink in, right?
Yeah.
Somehow you
Mm-hmm.
still paper stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
you're still, you're still dealing with your kids. You obviously have a
Absolutely.
husband. So
Mm-hmm.
there's the keeping your relationship going, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
doing all of those things. And you have a devastating loss with losing. I don't care how old you are when you lose a parent.
Yep.
I've lost a parent. It doesn't matter. Even if a
Yep.
parent is sick,
It doesn't matter.
It's still devastating.
That's right.
You're dealing with all of that. And on top of that, this loss happens
Yeah.
in this organization that you had been a member of for so long and had given so much to. So that's a
Yeah.
lot coming at somebody. What do they say? There's like 5 major events that happen in a lifetime. You have a bunch of major events
Yes.
happening in your
Yes.
lifetime at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let me say this, because I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor.
Yeah.
Let me be very clear, because I think it's important to tell those stories. And for those that know me, they'd be like, oh, wow, she's sharing a lot. She's sharing a lot. Because they know I don't, my team gets on me even about posting personal things, because that's a side that I normally don't share. But I've gotten to a point in life, we need to encourage each other, help each other. We need to make sure that if people can see that you can endure, and you do endure with resilience and perseverance, my life has been still good. I listen, I don't want anybody to read into this interview in any other way. I thank God my life has been good, Shannon. I have had many successes. I'm in a great place in life, but I don't want anybody to think that I've gotten here by not pulling up my own bootstraps. I don't want anybody to think that I have not put in the work. I love Alpha Kappa Alpha. I love it with all of my heart and soul. 38 years in, still going strong. So it's important for us to, as I said, to encourage each other. That's important to me.
And I see where your team is coming from. When people just see what's on the websites and this,
Yeah.
you just see polish, polish, polish. And so you think, oh, that person never had to go through what I had to go through because they always had it easy or whatever. They're just so polished and put together. And it's like, no, they've had to go through a lot to be polished and put together. Like to understand that smile on her
Yeah.
face, how beautiful she looks. There's a lot of layers to this that actually make this smile happen, if you will.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what I hope to share with a show like this is that there was no linear path to your career.
No.
There was no linear path to your service to Alpha Kappa Alpha. Like it zigs, it zags, it goes up, it goes down. But ultimately, what I love about you is that you do understand, you do have a higher calling, a higher belief. You understand that the steps are ordered. So if certain things don't go your way, you are able to. My friend always says, you can have your pity party for 30 minutes. You can have your
Exactly.
pity party. And then we got to move on. We got to move on. And I think you embody that. I think
Thank
you
you.
get over your,
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
able to go on to the next.
I'm tough. Trust me.
You're
I'm tough. I'm
But
from
here's the-
Detroit, right?
I know.
Detroit.
But here's the ththing. Here's the
Yeah.
thing, listeners, because this story is not over. So we're telling you about the time where it was a hard time. You didn't win. Then you
Mhm.
actually go on to really win again. However you want to define it, is called you actually are. That's what you do.
Yep.
So let's take it to today. Please share with the listeners what you are doing today, because I want to bring that home. I mean, the song that we pick is Where I Am by LaShawn Pace. You did not pick this song, but in my mind, when you talk, I will also want to throw out there This Girl Is on Fire by Alicia Keys, because that's how I personally see where we are today. So I see that when you talk as well. You do go on to win. You lost, you might have lost that one, and then you do win. And you actually do some amazing things through a very pivotal time, COVID in particular, with the organization. So I'd love for you to kind of share what was going on then, where you are today, both, professionally and with the sorority.
So thank you for that question. I am in a great place today. I am so fulfilled. I'm so at peace. My career is going well. I oversee 4 great teams. I work for a wonderful system here in Detroit, Michigan, largest hospital system in Michigan. Have a great boss, very flexible. I couldn't do all what I do if I didn't work in an environment that believed in work-life balance. I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have an environment in my professional space that did not support me. I remember just right quick when I ran for the 29th Great Lakes Regional Director, I went in, I told my boss, I said, hey, look, I'm going to this conference, I'm running for this position. And he said, I wish you the best of luck. May God be with you. That's the type of boss you want. That's the type of boss you want. So I am loving my job. We're doing a lot of innovative things. We just merged with another major hospital. We are on fire. at my particular employer, but it's all great things. When I turn it around and bring it to my family, my oldest son just got married. She's a member of course, of Alpha Kappa Alpha. Beautiful couple doing great things. My youngest is doing, my husband is doing, listen, when I tell you I'm in a good place. When I take it to the sorority, and I think about the things that I've done. When I served as 29th Great Lakes Regional Director, I served, yes, during COVID, right? So for 2 years, we were trying to figure out this COVID thing. We were trying to pivot. We're trying to figure out how do you still survive and thrive. And so for me, I think that's one of what you say, you got 5 things that kind of collide. Maybe that's one of the 5 things, right? I don't know. I'm going to go back and count. But at the time that I served as a 29th Great Lakes Regional Director, and COVID hit us unexpectedly, didn't know what was going on. I had to reinvent myself as a leader, meaning I had to tap in differently to the membership. And at that time, it was 5,000 women. By the time I went out of office, we had over 7,000 women. And I had to tap into them differently because I had to tap into their needs, their emotional intelligence. I had to tap into how do I motivate and galvanize a region when we have people around us dying, where their family members are dying? How do I keep them engaged? How do we still serve? And so I think for me, during that time of COVID, it tested me. It says, what type of grit do you really have? Let me test you, right? And when I reflect back on all the things that we accomplished, even in COVID, it's probably one of my biggest accomplishments in serving in the organization because we had major successes. That would be a whole nother hour show if I had to go through all of it. But in the meantime, I just will get to the bottom line. And that is, when we were going through and I would talk to some of my peers, we were all disappointed that we were serving. We were like, this is not what we envisioned as regional directors, blah, 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 right? And I shared with one of my peers, I said, we need to look at this altogether differently. We are looking at the glass half empty. Let's look at the glass half full. My thoughts are, and I still believe this, years from now, someone is going to do a case study on how Alpha Kappa Alpha survived, how we thrived, how did we still serve the community in that time when it was more about dealing with the human aspect as well. I need for them to say, even if they don't know my name, I need them to say, well, whoever was the RD during that time in Great Lakes, she did all of these things for them to survive and thrive. And we did just that. I think at that time, it showed the membership, the women that served and were active members at that time, what type of leader they had. And one of my hardest critics said to me, no one else could have served at this time but you. No one else could have done what you did but you. And I never thought of that, but I said, God needed me here at this time.
That's right.
Because he knew, back to divine order. So I always tell people, you look at how people handle things as a leader. If they cannot handle small things as a leader, they're not going to be able to handle the big things as a leader. If they're not able to deal with tough things like life and death, and how do you still galvanize a region during tough times? I said, in international, you already know what you're getting with me because you can go back to my bio when I served as the Great Lakes Regional Director. And so it was a very growing time for me as a leader because it brought out other things in me that I did not know I had, that I had to demonstrate to lead. I had to lead and I had to do it a certain way. So that was a time that I have no regrets. No, I wish I was not serving in COVID, but I think it was all by divine order. And I think that I'm going to accept my critic, her comments, and say that it was my time to serve at a time as such. And so here we are. I am now serving as the International Regional Director. So I am so blessed to have 2 regions. Great Lakes will always be home, but I've been blessed to be appointed to serve as the International Regional Director. And when I first took the opportunity and accepted it, I went back to our international president, Danette Anthony Reed, and I said, Madam. And the first thing she said to me, she said, you thought it was going to be easy. I said, I did. Because I just managed the region successfully during COVID. I could do anything. No, the international region is probably one of the most complex. It is the most complex region out of all regions for all the obvious reasons. We deal with different time zones and et cetera. But I am extremely proud of the international region. We have elevated, we have expanded, we have educated. And now the mission is to make sure that when this legacy is done, that everyone in the world, even outside of the sorority, they understand and they get what the international region brings to the table. We have brilliant women in this region that are doing remarkable things internationally, globally, and leaving a legacy that not only represents who they are, but also shines a light on the sorority. So we're doing a lot of beautiful things. And so when I talk about that I didn't win, but I won, oh, I won because this opportunity to serve in this capacity has been life changing for me. So my reach is further, my exposure is different, my thinking is different. When I look at the sorority, I don't look at it the same as I did before I took this position. And so for me, I am in a great place. So when I think about the song Where I am here and I'm at peace and I'm fulfilled. And I feel like I'm doing not only the sorority's work, but God's work at the same time. It's a lot of work and I don't mind doing the work. And so I'm looking forward to finishing in July and finishing strong. And I'm looking forward to what the international region will continue to do in the years to come.
What is that region? Help us understand the scale and the breadth of that region.
So, serving as international region, I oversee all chapters outside the US. And so, in a nutshell, it's very simple. All the chapters outside the US. And so, you may say, for those that may not be aware of, ooh, which chapters are she? Yeah, let me tell you. First of all, during my tenure, we have charted new chapters. We chartered a chapter in London, right? And let me just say for the record, right? And so London, it was a London chapter prior to us chartering the chapter in October of last year. So I am excited to bring back a chapter in London. And so we chartered a new chapter for all intents and purposes. We just chartered another chapter in Puerto Rico. We're gearing up for Ghana. And then I have my last chapter, which is in Bahamas. But beyond those chapters, we exist in Germany, Dubai. We exist in Korea, Japan. We have 20 chapters that exist across, I think, 13 countries, 12 time zones. My largest chapter is about 120 members. My smallest chapter is approximately about 25 members. And we do great work within our respective countries. And so I have the first chapter chartered in the international was in Liberia. Proud to say we went back to Liberia last year and did a missionary service region-wide project where we just went and did service all day, every day. And so that was a life-changing experience. It wasn't about being pretty. It wasn't about what you're wearing, what you look like. It was about a ponytail, no makeup, gym shoes, and serving. And that's what it was about. And it was life-changing. And so we are literally around the globe. We're doing great things in the respective communities, in the respective countries.
And that is so important for people, I think, to understand when I start describing, especially people who are not familiar with service sororities and fraternities, the D9, et cetera. And I say, oh, no, this is global. This is a global organization. It's not just this local thing that you think I'm somehow involved with. The breadth of where we are and where we serve communities is literally all over the world. And a big part of those chapters is under your remit.
Yes, yes. All of them are outside of the US. And it's just been a wonderful experience to go in and do a lot of the firsts. We've had a lot of firsts in this administration in the international region, other things that other regions take for granted. In our international, we have our regional conferences right before leadership and right before Boulé. And for those members that are in this, the sorority, you will know this, but those that are not a part of the sorority, each region at their conferences, they do a public meeting where they recognize the public for outstanding community service work. We don't have that opportunity. So what we instituted, because we're not able to have a public meeting, because we're not hosting our conferences in our respective countries, is a global spotlight where we recognize members in the sorority that have done phenomenal far-reaching things within the community, whether it's from a sorority perspective or a professional perspective. So we have revolutionized what we do in the international region. We have literally instituted on-site in the community service projects. We have instituted sisterly relations activities. We've instituted additional awards. I can go on and on. We've had the highest attendance for our conferences, our clusters. The excitement is in the air. The excitement is in the air. And I have to say, it has been a collective spirit in elevating the region. It's not just me doing it all by myself. It's the region coming together to say, we want more, we expect more, and we want to execute more. We want to deliver more. And so the international region, I said, we're the hottest thing out there. I know my colleagues are be like, no, you're not. No, but we are doing great things in the international region that I am extremely proud of.
And that is a perfect segue to I want you to share with our listeners what you're working on next, how we can support you. I
Yes.
happen to know that you are about to charter and do something huge in the continent of Africa, and I'm so disappointed that I can't go. But please share with our listeners what's happening next and how we can be supportive.
So thank you for that and allowing me to give a shameless plug and then also ask for support at the same time. So yes, for those that are not aware, and if you're not, I don't know where you've been, but for those that are not aware, we are excited. We're going to be actually chartering a chapter in Ghana, January the 16th, which is a Friday. I am excited. We have 27 beautiful young ladies that are eagerly waiting to serve under a chapter's name. Black Star Pearls is the name of the interest group. And they have been doing phenomenal work in Ghana. And so we're going to be there. I'm excited that our international president and CEO, Danette Anthony Reed, is not only going to be a part of the chartering and the celebration, but she has taken it a step further. And she says, we're going to have our first International Founders Day also in Ghana. And when she brought that concept to me, I said, Madam, it gives me chills because for me, it brings the sorority full circle, right? When you think about the founders who were, college women that founded the sorority 117 years ago, they could have never envisioned that we will be in Ghana, Germany, Dubai, we will be in Puerto Rico, all these places. They didn't envision that. But now here we are. And to have our first International Founders Day in the international region in Ghana, it brings the sorority for me full circle. And so we are excited about what's to come. The women have been working hard. The Team Elevate has been working extremely hard. And so trust me, stay tuned. Please chime into our social media. If you're not going to be there, it will play out on social media. I promise you, you can live through the experience by connecting to our social media, whether it's my personal one or the international region's social media site. The other thing I would love to talk about to solicit support in the international region, and I think really across the sorority, Shannon, and I think you know this, our members have been suffering. They have lost jobs. They have been redeployed because we do have a high percentage of military women in the international region. And this climate is not a healthy climate for us. It's not healthy for women of color. One of the things that we have instituted is the Hope Think Tank. And the Hope Think Tank is an initiative that is led by internal members, a small committee. And we're right now trying to put the infrastructure in place, the governance in place, and we're trying to identify the needs of what some of our members may be in need of, right? And so we have sent out surveys. We're trying to understand how today's climate has impacted them. And so when you say, hey, how else can we help you? If there's anyone out there, whether you are a member of the sorority or not, but you have resources, you have connections, and you want to give back to members of Alpha Kappa Alpha that may be in need, please, I would love to connect with you. We're talking about resources in the area of employment, jobs, information, educational options. If there's programs out there that maybe a lot of us may not be aware of, that some of our members can take advantage of, please reach out to me because I would love to be able to connect you with them. And the ultimate goal is that we help each other and we help one by one. Because at the end of the day, we do our jobs in serving the communities. but we need to make sure that we're helping our very own as well. And so the Hope Think Tank is something that I'm very proud of because it's a solution to helping those that are in need.
Thank you for sharing that. And we will put links in the show notes so that people will be able to get,
Awesome.
directly to where you are gathering that information. And I want to put a plug out there for a lot of my listeners who are particularly are in tech or in the Bay Area. If you know of resources where we can help with getting people, new skills, especially around digital transformation and AI, please go to the show notes, go on the link, or you can DM me, email me, and we can get that information over to Carrie and her team. I think that would be phenomenal. This is how we're going to help people. It's no one's coming to save us. It's really us grassroots, like it's always been, quite frankly, but we really need that in a time like this when so many people are suffering. So thank you for sharing that as well. Well, listen, Carrie, we could talk to you all day, but there's one last thing that I need from you before we wrap this up. Your songs have been phenomenal, and thank you for sharing. Your journey has been really inspirational. You've been vulnerable. You've also been extremely hardworking, lifelong learner, all the things. And it's no wonder you've had such a successful life. And I do believe that your steps have been ordered. I believe that too. I always ask for one song that just puts a smile on your face. It could be anything, but if I played that song for you right now, you would just cheese up because it just makes you happy.
Oh my gosh. So can I let you in on a little secret?
Yeah.
I am a house head. I love house music. So if you played any house record, it would just, my energy would just go through the roof because I grew up in the house era. And a lot of people are like, what is she talking about? Look it up. Yeah.
No,
Yes.
I got one for you. You tell me if you like this one. It's actually my favorite house song.
Which
when
one?
it comes on, I get real happy. Follow me, follow me, follow me, follow
Yes.
me.
Yes.
It's such a spiritual song, right? I'm hoping to see the
Yes.
king, right?
Yes. Yes.
That one gets me every single time. That if you can let me put it on playlist, I'm gonna put
Play
follow
it,
me.
please. Play it. Yes. Play it. It could be any house. I love house music. And so if I'm looking to be upbeat, if I'm getting in the car, if I'm going to meet my girls, if I'm, going out for dinner, listen, hit play.
House music. Okay, well, there you see. And that's why I love doing this show because I had no clue
Yes.
you would
Yes.
be going. I wouldn't have guessed house music. Detroit, I'm not sure.
House.
Well, it's close to Chicago, maybe. But I don't know if I would have guessed that, to be honest with you.
House is it for me. And, it's funny because, the international region, most of them, majority of them, especially the natives, they have no clue. So whenever we do our conference, I was in Chicago, I was like, you got to play one house song. The floor was jam-packed. As soon as he played that house song, it cleared out and I was the only one on there dancing. I was like, what happened? So yes, play that song and we're good to go.
It's funny because house music, as you, there's people who really know deep house songs.
Yes.
But there's some that have actually crossed over that I don't think people know have their roots in house music. Like La Da Dee, La La La. That's the Crystal Water song, isn't that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the name of the song now. I can hear it.
I know which one it is though.
But that whole beat to that song is just straight house music.
Yep.
And it was a crossover. It was kind of a poppy song, but I don't know if I'm like, that's just actually house music.
Right.
Because she just, laid some stuff up over it. But I love it. I love that makes you happy. And I will never forget that about you forever and ever. I will be like, let's play some house for Carrie.
Trust me. And I'll be like, smiling. I'll be smiling and
doing y'all's little house dance. Girl, out house you.
I'm a seat dancer, but I can do it. I can do it.
Oh my gosh, Carrie, it has been so much fun having you on the show. Congratulations with everything you're doing with Alpha Kappa Alpha, with what you're doing in the field of tech and digital transformation and STEM and what you're doing for communities. Thank you. I'm going to recap your songs real quick because your playlist will be on Spotify. It'll be the Carrie J. Clark's playlist on Spotify.
I love it.
So we'll start with Survivor by Destiny's Child, Ain't No Stopping Us Now, McFadden and Whitehead, Superwoman by Alicia Keys, When You Believe, Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, Where I Am was kind of your last song, and that's LaShawn Pace. We added house music. I picked Follow Me for her. I also added, she didn't put this on there herself. I was like, she should have Girl on Fire by Alicia Keys because the whole story is Girl on Fire as well. We're going to add that because I think when you listen to this show, it embodies that. But that's your list. I can't wait to share this with the listeners. Listen, thank you for coming on the show. You're just such a blessing.
And so are you. You've been a jewel. Thank you for everything. I have enjoyed this. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share my story. But thank you for giving me a space to be true and authentic. So thank you for this.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to No Boxes, Just Verses. And if this episode moved y'all, please share it, rate us, follow the show on your favorite platform, and we can keep building our leadership playlists together. So you can find me, guys, on Instagram as Shannon Nash1 and No Boxes, Just Verses on Instagram. You can also find me on LinkedIn as Shannon Nash ESQ CPA. You can also find No Boxes, Just Verses on LinkedIn. You can visit our website at noboxesjustverses.com. Finally, don't forget to check out the show notes. The show notes are super important because this is where the playlists will live. You will be able to get these playlists on Apple and Spotify. You'll also be able to follow up and see how to reach out to the guests, follow them, and support them. Until next time, I need you to stay unboxed. You come for the stories, but you stay for the playlist. I'm Shannon Nash, and I'm out.
No boxes, just verses. Listen to the sound. No boxes, just verses. We not playing around. No boxes, just verses. Every voice reverse. No boxes, just verses. Units just rehearse. No. This is Shannon Nash and I got clout. This is Shannon Nash, the show's about. No boxes, just verses. The songs we used to play. No boxes, just verses. How we found our way. No boxes, just verses. Leading every day. No boxes, just verses. Let's all together say.